Welcome everyone to Inside the Fight, post-fight UFC Fight Night, Machida versus Munoz. And what an event. It was a good event from the main card. We couldn't really find the prelims for some reason, but good card, main card. Let's get to the co-main event, Pearson versus Melvin Guillard. And this card had everything, including controversy, which stems from this fight.
Yes. So some controversy in the Pearson and Melvin Guillard fight. Before we got to that part, though, I think Melvin Guillard was doing an outstanding job with his speed, his power, and his hand striking speed has never been in question, and he definitely was bringing it in this fight. He hurt Pearson really bad and got him up against the cage, and this is when the controversy, of course, happened.
Yeah, landed two knees to a down opponent. Well, I thought both knees.
Technically,
I thought both knees were good.
Yeah.
The second one was a little more closer.
The review did show that the first knee was legal.
Yes, but unfortunately, the referee does not have the replay, so the contest was called no contest.
Well, actually, they did look at the replays. They actually did look at the replays, from my understanding, but they judged that the second knee was illegal. But
accidental. That's actually the
an accidental illegal knee.
Yeah,
that's the term that they came up with. But I really hate this rule. I understand that the whole point of the rule is for the safety of the fighters, which is the most important thing that you gotta go for. But with that said, too many fighters, they're actually in a standing position, but they'll reach down with their hand, tipping it with their fingers, just to take advantage of this rule. I really feel that something must be done. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree. I think the rule it's in a way where it gets in the way of fighters' combat ability, because sometimes it takes away what someone could do in certain positions.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Their options are severely limited.
You know, me and you were discussing this during that fight about certain options that, how could you change the rules, make it that you are down if you are down, and not just that the fingers are down. But, I did agree with you said having about both knees down is being down, or both hands being down, so then it allows the neck area to be exposed, and which means that you are going to defend only one, not two, because that's not really a defense in a real fight. Let's get that real.
Yeah. If you were to change the rules and make something simple like having both your hands down on the ground or both your knees down on the ground, that way, when you are in these positions and you want to just take advantage of the rule, you can't just have one hand down while defending a choke. You'll have to have both your hands down. Now you just, no knees to your head, but you might get choked out in a guillotine choke right there. Make it so that you have to make the choice. You want to use the rules to defend against a certain type of strike? Fine. But now you're vulnerable to something else, because you're not really a down opponent. You are a fighter taking advantage of this rule. I really hate this rule, but I feel like maybe that would be a good change. We definitely will be interested in see what you guys would think about that rule. If nothing needs to be changed on it, or if there's something else, maybe there's something one of you guys could think of, would like to discuss.
Definitely. Yeah, let us know. If you guys have any ideas, we'll gladly listen to them, explore in a future episode. Boss Rutan once said, though, with that stupid hand rule, he doesn't understand why more fighters don't just power lift the guy up and then knee him, which is what Melvin actually tried to do. If you look back, it looked like he was trying to lift him, make sure that his hands were not touching. But unfortunately, the second one did kind of slip and touch that.
That's why we were robbed basically of a great fight. This fight was going really well. I think I'm not sure if Melvin would have finished him, but I definitely think Pearson is a tough SOB. But it was definitely an exciting fight. It looked like it was going to be a really good co-main event, and instead we got a no contest.
But like we said, it was full of great fights. Another fight on this was since we're not going to have a real co-main event, let's talk about another fight. John Tuck taking on Norman Parks, who was the Ultimate Fighter Smashes winner. That was a great fight, and it shows something that everyone's been saying for a long time. You know, you could have all the skills in the world, but if you have no cardio, you will not win this sport. And John Parks showed all his cardio, because he looked phenomenal in rounds 2 and 3 for sure, when John Tuck just slowed down to a crawl.
Yeah,
I mean, he fought. He's a tough guy. You gotta give him credit. He did fight for those two rounds, but he was not the same fighter from that first round.
Yeah, it was very clear that after the first round, John Tuck looked a lot slower, and he was definitely breathing hard and breathing out of his mouth. I think the pace that Norman put on him really wore him down in that first round. I did give the first round to John Tuck.
So did I.
I think he was showing superior technique and speed, but after his gas tank started wearing down, he was a completely different fighter. And there are a lot of fighters who have lost fights to people who skillfully are inferior to them, but their gas tank is just so much better. It's just a huge weapon to have high-level cardio, like someone like a Nick Diaz, Cain Velasquez. These guys, well, I'm not saying that they only rely on their cardio, they also have high-level skills, but they do wear down their opponents to the point where, while maybe their opponent was just as good as them, maybe a little better than them, all of a sudden without their cardio, now you're the one who's better than they are. People really need to work on that cardio.
Yeah. Now, let's get to the main event. Lyoto Machida making his middleweight debut against Mark Munoz, a Filipino wrecking machine. And when we first heard this fight announced, me and you both thought the same thing right away. This is an easy fight for Machida.
Yes. Easy fight, and it was going to be a dominant victory by Machida. I mean, come on. Machida is the perfect anti-wrestler. The guy, his sumo, his footwork, his spacing, his timing, his speed is just so much of a problem for pretty much almost any wrestler. From Randy Couture to Ryan Bader to Rashad Evans. You just can't fight this guy unless you're, of course, a lot bigger than him, like John Jones and maybe Phil Davis, even though I think Machida did win that fight. The judges just gave it to the wrong person, in my opinion. But, you know, I thought that Munoz, you know, he doesn't have John Jones's reach or Phil Davis's reach or size. All he has is wrestling and some decent striking. He was not going to be able to close the distance. And if he did, he was going to get Ryan Bader. And if he didn't close the distance, he'll get Rashad Evans. And that's exactly what happened to him, Rashad Evans.
Yeah. Lyoto Machida wins via head kick. And like we always say, you know, Machida is one of the best strikers in this game. Now the question bears, what's up with the middleweight future? Because Machida is a dangerous fighter. And now that we know that he's winning, he is after the title, regardless of who has it. That's something that this middleweight division is going to have to fear, because Machida didn't just look dominant. He looks like he belongs in this division, because, like you said, he was always a small middle light heavyweight. Now he looks like a big middleweight.
Yeah, he actually, for the first time since the BJ Penn fight, Machida actually looked like the bigger opponent in his fight. Pretty much almost everybody else that he has fought has always been, you know, a lot bigger than him. And now here, he almost looked the same, other than just being a little more ripped. Just looked like he lost a little bit of fat, and pretty much almost looked exactly the same as he always did. This is now, except his opponents are going to be a lot smaller, a lot shorter, less reach, less power. They might be a little faster though. That would definitely be something to look forward to. But he also fought a friend.
That is true. Mark Munoz and Lyoto Machida do train together, and you know, and actually one of the things I actually liked about the end of this fight, when he knocked him out, he didn't go for that finishing punch because he was already knocked out, and he stopped because he said, "That was my friend. I'm not gonna hit him again. He's out." And that was a great sportsmanship, and we don't see that a lot happen in MMA or the UFC, especially. All the times you're hearing these training partners say, "We will not fight each other."
Mm-hmm.
And he was asked, if Anderson Silva versus Chris Weidman, who would he rather fight? He says, I want the title. That's what he said. I want the title.
That was his response to that. What does this mean, though? Does this mean that if Anderson Silva beats Chris Weidman, will Lyoto Machida fight Anderson Silva?
You know what? That's a question that we'll have to wait in time, because
he said he wants the title and he is here to stay.
Now the question now bears, who's next for Lyoto Machida? Because the division is stacked with competition, and as we all know, there are plenty of contenders out there. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, Machida's already a proven champion, and if Chris Weidman beats Anderson Silva in their next match, I would love to see just go straight for the title. Machida versus Chris Weidman, which would be stylistically a very bad matchup for Chris Weidman due to Machida's takedown defense and elite striking. But if Anderson wins and Vitor Belfort beats Dan Henderson, maybe we get Anderson versus Vitor Belfort too. The match that Vitor has been dying to have for years. But it really depends. This middleweight, there's also Jacare, who's been extremely impressive. I think he's still one big fight away, but very impressive being here in the UFC. The way he took care of Okami was hellacious. The middleweight division is extremely exciting right now. It's funny what happens when the champion, the dominant champion, finally loses. Everybody else seems to step up.
Now I got one more hypothetical question. If George St. Pierre wins and decides to move up to middleweight,
never gonna happen. This George St. Pierre.
We don't know if that's gonna happen. But
George St. Pierre, he'll likely retire before that happens. Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there because someone's gonna throw it out there.
George St. Pierre is no. That's just not. Let's just drop it.
I know it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. What might happen though, I do believe that I'm sure Machida and Anderson have spoken about this, and maybe Anderson has made up his mind. If he loses to Chris Weidman, he's gonna retire. If he beats Chris Weidman, maybe he's gonna just take super fights. And his plan is that he's leaving the middleweight division anyway after that. Who knows? It should be interesting. I really truly believe in my heart that they will never fight, because I understand that Machida just fought a friend, but there's different levels of friendship, and Machida and Anderson are definitely a lot closer. I don't think they'll fight. I do think that they have spoken, but Machida is here for that belt, and I really believe he will be middleweight champion sooner rather than later.
You know what? I'm gonna agree with that. I think he will be champion sooner than later. Well, that's all we got for this week. We got another UFC in 2 weeks, and we'll cover that. Now, guys, let us know what you guys think about the whole rules of the touching the ground. What do you guys think about the middleweight division? And let us know what you guys think. Just leave a comment right below, subscribe, and until next time,